Tonight, the 3 craziest things I saw when working retail, and most specifically when I worked at Rose's. Number 3, I worked at Rose's with this real sketchy dude. He was probably in his early 20s and he had some real weird energy. One day he casually tells me and my buddy Fat Boy that he can't go home. The reason he couldn't go home is because his neighbor was trying to with him for something that he allegedly didn't do. And while this is going on, he's living in his 1980 Ford LTD station wagon, literally in the Rose's parking lot. He bought my buddy Fat Boy cigarettes from the Winn-Dixie next door all the time, so Fat Boy liked him. And that weekend, we were throwing a huge house party at my friend's house. Right before we had the party, Fat Boy tells me, "Hey man, I invited so-and-so." And I thought, what? That guy? Why would you invite him? What, man? It's cool. Nah, it wasn't cool. Total chaos. Major disaster. See, there was a failed 3-way that turned nearly into a fist fight. And then at the end of it, randomly, this dude rips off his track pants in the middle of a crowd of people and all of a sudden starts doing a helicopter right there with a spray paint can sized appendage. He was swinging that thing around like he was summoning demons. Then to add insult to injury, after everybody was scarred from seeing this, he steals the rest of the beer we had out of the refrigerator and peels tires leaving the driveway in his Ford LTD. And like absolute morons, we chased him all the way back to Rose's in the middle of the night where he was literally living in the parking lot. He quickly fled into a neighborhood we weren't willing to go into. That was it for that night. A couple days later, we go to work and the boss says, "Hey, that guy might call collect from the jail. Don't take the call." Craziest part, one of the friends at the party ended up doing jury duty for this guy's case a few months later. It turns out, yeah, just say this guy went away for a long time for doing some heinous things to somebody, and that was the reason this person's parent wanted to when he couldn't go home. So yeah, Fat Boy invited that guy to the party. That's his. Number 2 craziest thing I saw when I worked at Rose's was something called the gravy train. What was the gravy train? It was basically an employee-led, full-blown heist happening every single night on the night shift. Now, these co-workers would just walk around the store with shopping carts. Shopping? They would put clothes, electronics, you name it, into their cart, take it up to the front, either pretend to ring it up or just simply bag it. And then in this elaborate mob-style scheme, they would lay the stuff in front of the customer service desk, bagged up, and one of the stock boys would take the stuff and deliver it to their vehicles like it was a 1950s mailman, except for he wasn't anybody's mom. Now, this went on for months. However, like most dumb crimes and most dumb criminals, they flew too close to the sun and they got caught. How? I might ask. Well, it turns out they started getting really greedy and they started returning the stuff with no receipt. Now, Rose's policy was that to get cash, you had to have a receipt. Now, I knew nothing about this. It turns out the other girl who did returns that night was straight up doing it for him left and right. Here's the thing about returns. When you do it, even back then, your name is on it. So a few weeks before I dipped out after graduating, I get a call from my boss. Randomly, he's like, could you come in to work tonight? Turns out loss prevention noticed a few things about the receipt rolls. They noticed that the dollars and cents weren't quite adding up. So after doing some further digging, they discovered everything and they cleaned house. Now listen, they fired everybody. Lottie-dottie, everybody. They even fired an assistant manager who was in on it. After the smoke settled, the only people left were the boss, this one simple old lady that worked that night, and then randomly of all people, Fat Boy. He asked me if I would come help out. As he talked about it, he got to the end of it and he goes, "So what do you think?" And my response, I said, man, you hate to hear it. Number 1 craziest thing I saw when I worked at Rose's, the most absurd thing I saw was something that we affectionately called around there, the Rose's Clown College. Now, I'm working the front, I'm just minding my own business, when from the back of the store I hear Fat Boy screaming my name, running up, grinning like a child on Christmas morning. He's screaming, "Man, you gotta see this, man. It's like the coolest thing I've seen."
Oh my God!
Oh my God! Well, of course, I followed him. I went to the back and I walked in the stockroom with him. And by the way, this stockroom looked like a tornado had hit a random Dollar Tree somewhere. And he and another guy lead me to this dark, dank corner. I get back there and they got this set up like they built a little clubhouse back there where they were just hanging out instead of working. Suddenly, Fat Boy pulls out this long balloon. He blows it up and inflates it. Then he takes it, ties it up, and makes a balloon animal. Now, obviously, I started cracking up. I'm like, where did you even learn this kind of thing, man? I knew Fat Boy was capable of a lot of stupid things, but balloon animal and clowning in general wasn't something I was aware of. I was aware of his inability to strike out with girls, to act like an idiot, fail consistently, make an ass of himself, but I didn't know he could clown. He goes, hey man, I found a balloon animal kit on the toy aisle, man, and we just opened it up and started making balloon animals. So he literally built a clown workshop in the corner of the storeroom. So I'm cracking up, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the assistant manager pops up like a cop raiding a house party, yelling, what are you boys doing? What do you think happened? We scattered like cockroaches. Now look, I'm gonna level with you. I was part scared, but I was also kind of part impressed. Afterward, I just go back up like nothing happened, and I work the rest of my shift. Meanwhile, Fat Boy is sucking up to this lady super hard, and he's begging her not to say anything. He's begging her not to tell, and he's doing everything in his power to keep her from telling our boss, Mr. D. The next day at school, Fat Boy was sweating. I get to work. I go in the back to get my cash, and Mr. D pops his head out of his closet-sized office. He's like, oh, can you come here for a second? I walk into his tiny office. In that corner was probably for the first time and the last time in my entire life that I saw an entire shopping cart full of balloon animals. I'm talking full to the brim, about to overflow. So naturally, he asks if I was involved. I said no. I just was a spectator. I was an attendee of the Roses Clown College, class of 2002. He was kind of irritated, and he said, well, Fat Boy's going to have to pay for it. He's going to have to pay the $8 he owes for opening the store merchandise. Spoiler alert, Fat Boy never paid the $8. Out of all my jobs, out of all the fights, out of all the crackheads, out of all the grown adults throwing temper tantrums I never even saw when I was teaching children at an elementary school, that, my friends, was the funniest and dumbest out of all of them.